All right. So going through all my YouTube comments, everyone has decided that the body works exactly the same for everybody all the time without any question. That's not accurate at all. Like, guys, look around. just walk into anywhere you want to go where there's more than 10 people, and you'll see that we look a little different because our biochemistry works differently. That's the big issue. So the idea that no one needs carbs is absurd. The idea that the vast majority of us can run without them is accurate. However, when you look at like the somatotype function, you got ectomorphs, you got mesomorphs and endomorphs. Everybody outside the ectomorphs can do just fine, the vast majority of us, without carbohydrates. So 60, 70, 80% of the population could do just fine without carbohydrates. Now, again, not everyone's body works the same way. I mean, look at folic acid. You look at the fully methylated form of folic acid, L-methyl tetrahydrofolate. Not everybody can make it. Like there's estimates between 20 and 40, 45% of the population doesn't make that chemical that is highly critical for function. So these people have MTHFR deletions, and we've got to kind of go through and fix that with giving them actual L-methyl tetrahydrofolate. So that's just one example. We've had lots of people that I've worked with who have run really great carnivore diets and stuff like that, and they felt terrible. And when we checked their glucose, their body didn't have enough glucose. Now, the way this happens is that when you eat a protein, this is why protein cannot actually make you fat without being pathological. When you eat a protein, the body takes that protein, breaks it apart. If you don't have enough sugar in your blood, what will happen is that the body will take that, tear apart that protein, and utilize that function to the protein spine through a process called gluconeogenesis, where your body actually makes sugar out of protein. Very common thing. Not everybody does this at a level high enough to support their needs because they have some damage in it. Maybe there's genetics on there I haven't looked for. I don't know. I'll look now that I've thought about it, I'm going to have to go back and look. But that's one of those issues. So those people require a small amount of carbohydrates for their blood. Not everything in your body can run on ketones. The number one example of that is your blood. Your blood has no mitochondria. Your blood cannot run on fat. Your blood cannot run on anything but sugar. What happens is the sugar goes into the cytoplasm. When it hits the cytoplasm, it splits into two lactates, releasing 2 ATP, which is actually the molecule your body runs on. I think the reason people have this messed up is because we still believe the body runs on calories. Guys, and this is the reason I keep telling you guys not to look at the calories. The calories are made up nonsense, because calories are made up nonsense. Your body runs on adenosine triphosphate or ATP. It's made from fat and it's made from sugar. That's kind of it. So that's what's going on. So you have to look at how that's functioning. So yeah, there are people who actually need carbohydrates. It's not as many people as you think it is, but there are people who require it. It can be very low levels. Like I think I've told the story many times. We've had people who, one tangerine twice a day is all they need, or, a little bit of chocolate here and there, very little amounts of actual sugar, and not even from sucrose. You can get it from a variety of different places. So that's more or less what we're talking about when we talk about sugars. However, and again, people who are hardcore carnivore, fantastic. Stick to your carnivore. You're doing great. Well done. Awesomeness for you. Your body makes enough sugar out of it. Great. This brings up a whole nother point that I think we all need to kind of recognize. We think that because we're alive and we're moving around, that our metabolic function is A-okay. It's top notch. Or if we look at it, we're like, well, I'm fat, so my metabolism doesn't work. Maybe not. So the idea that, we can't optimize our own health, or we can't change how our body's functioning, is absurd. I think that we're learning with, look at it this way. And this is a gross over example, but we all know there's type 1 diabetics, right, who don't produce enough insulin. So they have to give themselves the peptide or the hormone, however you want to look at it, insulin, to function properly. We have never ever looked to see if people are making enough glucagon. Glucagon is the other side of the insulin, glucagon pathway. As your body starts losing glucose, what happens is that as the glucose levels in the body fall, what's supposed to happen inside the alpha cells, not beta, but the alpha cells of the pancreas, is your body recognizes, hey, we are running out. a glucose. We got to do something, and it shuts down the ampules and starts producing glucagon. Glucagon is the hormone that tells your body to take the protein, break it down, make sugar out of it to restabilize blood sugar levels. That's what it is. It's a hormonal response to the things that are going on in your body, which is why calories are stupid, and we should really start focusing on macro function of hormone delivery. So anyway, as the glucagon comes up, your body goes, oh, cool, and starts making sugar in your liver from protein. And as the levels of sugar start rising in the body, it gets to a certain point where your body goes, we've passed the threshold. We need to start storing that sugar that's in the blood somewhere else because it's now becoming toxic levels. So your body goes, what do we store things with? Insulin. So as the glucose levels rise, or the ATP from glucose levels rise, what ends up happening is your body shuts off the glucagon and activates insulin. Let me back up. It activates insulin to store the sugar. Insulin then inhibits and blocks the production of glucagon, which is yet another reason why high-fasting insulin keeps you from burning fat. Probably a longer conversation we need to have on that, but that's what's actually going on. So that's how the whole system works. You need both insulin and glucagon. This is why retatrutide for so many people is an amazing peptide, because it's the GLP-3. It's the only one that activates and brings in glucagon function. So if we are understanding that sometimes the body doesn't make everything it's supposed to, and we'll all agree that there are type 1 insulin-dependent diabetics who require insulin to function, we have to then just assume that there are people who don't make enough glucagon. So the idea that you can just go without carbs and everybody can do it isn't exactly accurate. Now, would I tell you that, it's a big enough number that we need to, you shouldn't be doing carnivore? Absolutely not. You should do a carnivore. In fact, the easiest way to find out if you're in this boat is to do carnivore and then put a CGM on and see how much sugar your body's creating. This is the easiest path. And this is how we do it when we start working people into their diet. What we'll do is we'll go through and be like, look, if you really want to know, we'll go through a keto style, really hardcore keto style diet or carnivore diet. You guys get to pick for the first week, 10 days. And we go, how do you feel? If you go, oh my God, I feel better than I've ever felt my entire life. Well, this is probably the diet you should stay on. If you go, man, I am tired, and we pull the CGM and we go, oh, you're not moving enough glucose, you shouldn't run this diet. We should mix a diet that is specific to you. This is how a lot of this stuff works out. Again, guys, there is no diet for people. There's a diet for a person. So anyone who's arguing that there is one holy diet that everyone should be on, they're wrong. Flat out, they're wrong. Now, could it be the best diet for a large group of people? Absolutely. I think a low glycemic diet, whether you're doing, high protein, high fat, whether you're doing, low carbohydrates, you're doing a fiber style insert diet. It's phenomenal. If you guys don't know how to do that one, it's amazing, but technically fiber is a carbohydrate. These low carbohydrate style diets, great. How much glucose are you producing? And that's how much insulin response are you producing, which is really the key. It's how much insulin response are you creating? That's where I'm standing. The vast majority of people, if we have a low insulin response diet or a low glycemic diet, the vast majority of people will be healthy. The vast majority. Now, this could be 60, 70, maybe 80. I don't know if it's that high, but it's pretty high. It's 60, 70%. On the other side, there are people who need to be on full-blown high carbohydrate diets. These are your ectomorphs. Those guys who can never, they eat whatever they want to and they never gain an ounce. Everyone's like, oh, that must be so great. It is in some levels, but it sucks for them on others because a lot of these guys who are ectomorphs can't gain muscle mass, and it's killing them because they really want to gain muscle mass. These guys have to do really high glycemic, really high sugar diets to get that function to come in and start producing enough of the insulin to drive them. Now, I realize the obvious thing that's never, why don't we just give those guys insulin? That's not a great idea. Whenever you give somebody a hormone that is generally produced by the body stops producing the hormone. It's called exogenous hormone reduction. So, for instance, if you give somebody testosterone and their body will quit producing the testosterone. Now, this isn't an issue. If your testosterone is 200 and you're a guy, you're not producing it to begin with. You need to be at 800, so just don't worry about it. But if you're at 900, this is the kids thing. This is where everybody talks about with kids. If your testosterone is naturally at 900, and you take testosterone for a year or two, and then you just jump off, your body's not going to be ready to make it at 900 again because it hasn't been making it for a year. So that's where that conversation comes in. If you're already at 1 or 2 or 3 or 400, you've already stopped making it. So you need the exogenous stuff. But this is kind of the big deal. So if you guys are looking at, well, how come, all these people say it's great and all these people say it's not? They're both right. It just depends on which person you're looking at. Brakes are really important in cars. So's the gas. However, you kind of need them both if you're going to make all the cars run right. So that's kind of the idea. So if you guys have any other questions, drop in the comments. We'll go through them. You guys have a fantastic day. Thanks for your time.